Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
You're looking live at PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's a Monday edition. We'll have JC, who's back. He's back in action. And then we'll have Mike Morgan, second portion of today's show. If you missed it over the weekend, if you were sleeping under a rock, Gators win 1 out of 3 against the Vols. Could have swept them, but all hell broke loose in, I think, the 6th inning. At least they could have got 2 out of 3. Lady Gator softball sweeps the 8th ranked Aggies. They end up second in the league. They were picked to be like 9th or 10th. So it may have been Tim Walton's best coaching job since he's been here, and they are pretty damn good, folks. Let me tell you that. And then we got some other stuff we'll talk about. JC, good morning. You're on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp.
Want to say hi to my man Scott, who is watching. He walks up in Publix yesterday. I'm over there shopping, and he says, "Hey, Johnny, I had never seen him in my life." So thank you for watching.
You have fans everywhere, JC.
Yeah, but it was a good moment because he had his son with him, and they were shopping, and I was spending money too. So we were spending money in Publix last week. Sorry I missed it, but I had some other things to do. I had jury duty. Have you ever been on a jury, QB? You ever been on one of those? Well, you may one day, you may not, but I did, and I couldn't believe they selected me. But that lasted a pretty good while, and then I had a member guest tournament playing, got another one coming up, so I got a lot going on there, QB, and I keep abreast of what's happening. And another weekend goes by, the softball team wins, no surprise. The baseball team loses a series, no real surprise there, and we got a first-time winner on the PGA Tour again, another first-time winner. Love that.
Yeah, Taylor Pendrith, the Canadian, and the poor other kid, Coles, missed about a 4-footer to force a playoff. It happens. Yeah. It happens to the best of them.
Sure.
So there's a lot to talk about. We got a bunch of texts here, obviously, regarding baseball. We'll get to them. Look, baseball, the only chance they're going to make postseason play is if they're 500 or better. So they're one game above 500, I believe. They have 7 games left, so they have to win at least 3 of them,
or 3. Okay, 3.
They got to win 3 to stay at 500. So,
well, just remember this, folks: the Ole Miss Rebels were the last team to be chosen for a regional bid 2 years ago, I think. It was 2 years ago, right, QB? And they won the College World Series, or maybe it was 3, but they won the College World Series as the last team chosen for postseason. And it just comes down to getting hot at the right time. But I just don't know if these guys have it. So we'll see. We've got 7 games, like you said. Just keep your expectation level where it should be, folks. That's what I'm going to say.
Lee on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon, wants to know, does anyone know why DJ Lagway and some teammates are in Japan right now? They do this little trip through, what do they call it? Anyway, they went to Greece last year, I believe. It's just another way for these kids to get an experience around the world. I don't know if DJ's there or not. I didn't see his picture there. Maybe he is. I forgot what they call it, though, dadgummit. But anyway, all right. So JC, softball, as I stated, the SEC, the regular season's over. SEC tournament starts Tuesday. Gators will not play until Thursday. They're the 2 seeds, so the top 4 get a bye. So should be fun. It's in Auburn.
Yeah.
And okay, so Lee says he went. So okay, yeah, they're there. They do this every summer, Lee. I don't have all the information on it, but they do take a trip to a different country every year. And I don't know how they select which players want to go. I've been to Japan twice and have no desire to go back.
You were on the NFL, you were on an NFL trip though, right?
I was on a college all-star, the Japan Bowl, and then I was on an NFL trip.
Oh, okay.
And,
College all-star.
and I didn't have, and the great thing about it, I was on charter flights and all that, and you couldn't travel any nicer or easier. I have zero desire to go back to Japan or anywhere that you have to be in the air that long.
Oh, that sounds really difficult. I find it difficult flying to Los Angeles. Okay, that's 4 or 5 hours.
It's Gator made. That's what it is. The Gator made folks.
All right.
It's basically they do things with the athletes outside of football, and they do a good job with that. So that's the truth. I think they went to Greece last year. I could be wrong.
Didn't Harbaugh used to do that with some of his guys at Michigan? Take a trip to Europe or something crazy.
Tony says the show is big in Japan. JC went for the sushi.
Well, just as long as yes, as long as there's no sesame seeds, I'm allergic. But sushi's a new thing in my life. I feel like I've discovered a new world, and I love it. I really do. I didn't think I'd like it so much, but I do love it.
Michael on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says hats off to former Gator reliever Christian Scott, who got his first major league start Saturday night with the Mets, pitched 6 1/3, only giving up 1 run and looked terrific. Yeah, congratulations.
I saw Langford. I don't know if you talked about this. Did you talk about Langford's inside the park home run?
That was like 3 weeks ago, JC.
I'm just saying, did you talk about it?
Yes, we talked about it.
Okay.
He's on the injured list now. He'll probably be out 3 or 4 weeks with a hamstring.
Yeah.
Maybe he pulled his hamstring on the inside the park home run.
Yes, right. I'm just glad to see he's a factor this soon in his career. It's pretty amazing.
He's had some ups and downs. He's only batting like 240 something, I believe, last time I checked.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right. They're 19.
It just goes to show you, these major league hitters that have done it at such a high level for so long, how good they really are.
Amazing.
I mean, it's sick how good they are.
It's amazing. I definitely agree with that. I just that when you think about it, there's only 500 some odd people that get to play at that level on the planet, and to be one of those 500, where the game is played with millions and millions of people from Latin America to North America and Asia, and to get into that league, it's almost impossible, I would think. But really he did. Yeah.
Joseph says on Facebook Live, I need to go watch the Tom Brady roast on Netflix. It's pretty funny. I saw some clips on Twitter.
Heard about it.
I just don't understand the whole
roast.
Why they even had it. Can somebody explain that to me?
Well, is it
just a money grab by Netflix?
It probably is. But what else has this guy got to do? And this talk about him maybe coming back to play, I don't want to hear that. Come on, he's not going to go back and play and get hurt. He can't play. Look, he did his thing, man. Let's just let him be a celebrity now. I think he likes being a celebrity. I don't think he wants to be forgotten. And a lot of athletes are that way. They don't want it to go away, the celebrity status.
And Andy says, was the Robert Kraft massage comment set up? I don't know. I saw a bunch of that one chick. I don't even know who she is. I guess she's a comedian. She was funny as hell. I saw the blurb on Twitter. I probably will not watch it because it was like 3 hours long. I don't have time to sit around for 3 hours and watch it. I still don't understand why they even had it. So if anybody knows, please let me know, because I don't understand why. I mean, when's the last time you heard of a roast of any other athlete or person that you know, JC?
Not of anyone I know, but I don't know anybody of that status either. He's pretty elite.
So that's what you do? You only roast elite people?
Well, those are the ones you hear about. I'm sure there are roasts going on all the time everywhere, but the one that gets the attention of this highly watched program is going to be the Tom Brady roast, because that's what the viewer just brought up. So there you go.
But I think other people were being roasted during it. It was his roast, but Belichick, Robert Kraft, they took a little blurb at Aaron Hernandez. So anyway, whatever.
Oh boy.
I don't understand it. I don't know.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it.
I mean, think about all those people that flew there for that.
Yeah, it's a party, QB.
I guess so. And just wait for they could get around and drink, I guess.
It's not a Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Maybe you could go.
Why has nobody roasted Coach Spurrier then?
Well, hey, start up the movement. We'll do it. We'll do it.
But nobody. I mean, I don't want to be a part of it. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. We got JC. We got
maybe I could
Mike
do a roast
Morgan.
for you, QB. I could gather some of our friends together and we could roast the QB.
I won't show up. Okay. Tommy in Savannah on the Titan MR text line says, I'm with Terry Bradshaw when it comes to sushi. Where I'm from, we call it bait.
Yeah. Like I said, I hadn't had it until I went to Bai Tong Tai or Bai Tong Tai is where I went. That was my first sushi. And then they got one over here in the village called Volcano or something. That's a good one. I can walk to that one, QB. But there's a new bar that opened up, by the way, here in this village as well. Very excited about it.
What's it called?
It's called Brick Street Road or something. It's a spinoff from the one that we go to up there by Publix, Bar and Table or something like that. It's so close. It's the good thing is you get in your golf cart and you drive to it, or you can walk to it. You don't have to drive your car, if you know what I mean. That's a really good feature we have here. So I like that.
JC, did you watch the Kentucky Derby?
No, I was in a big crowd, and the whole crowd was watching it. I did say that the favorite would not win. I'm not a horse guy. I never watch racing of any real sort, but I did. I was not surprised to see an 18-1 win. Photo finish. Okay, so he beat the 9-2 horse. I look at the odds. I don't really QB. I can't keep up with names of horses. I mean, they got these weird names here, and if it's not Affirmed, Secretariat, or Seattle Slew, it's hard for me to remember. QB. I mean, did you watch a Kentucky Derby? Are you one of those guys that sits there and watches?
Well, I mean, I don't sit around for 5 hours and wait
5
for
hours
it.
talking about it. Yeah.
I played golf, got home about 5:30,
Right.
6, 8, showered, and it still hadn't freaking ran yet. So I did get to see it.
I did the same thing you did.
Yeah. Did you dress up?
Well, no, but I changed from the golf course to go to dinner, and I had a neat little Caribbean shirt on, QB. It looked like I had been an island guy.
Were you at a luau?
The sun baked me. I was at our member guest dinner, and the sun baked me all day long. So I had that dark Mediterranean olive skin tone to myself with the yellow shirt, and I had my glasses on. I looked pretty good, and I'll admit that. But then I went to there and watched that Kentucky Derby race, and I couldn't see anything because everybody was around the big TVs and so forth. So I just waited till it was over, sat down, and enjoyed the night. So it's a good night. Good trip. But they had the course in great shape, by the way. I don't know what they did. I think it's the lack of rain we've had here lately, and I love that because they've got reusable water here, so the place is nice and green and fluffy.
Bob on the Titan MR text line says, Shane, do you think Sully retires after this year? No, I don't.
I don't either. How old is he? Is he in his 40s?
He's younger than I am. I don't even think he's 50.
So, yeah, if he's in his 40s, what would he do if he retired?
Well, most of these college baseball coaches, if they get fired, they retire. They become a scout for a major league team or whatever. But no, Sully's fine. Look, again, it hasn't been a great year, but I think people, we talk about it all the time. I sound like a broken record. When you lose the likes of Rivera, BT Rappel, Wyatt Langford, you had 2 pitchers that I think are in AAA right now. I mean, these guys just don't. I mean, it just doesn't happen year in and year out.
Right.
Well, some guys just didn't pan out, and it's a shame. But again, bottom line is, worst case, go 3-4 in your next 7 games. You're going to make the postseason, and who knows what can happen then.
That's just ask the Ole Miss Rebels 3 years ago.
Yep.
2 years ago.
Mark on Facebook Live says, Buddy says this softball team's still not elite. Everybody's all over Buddy because he doesn't think the softball team's elite. They're elite. They're very good. This is one of Tim's better teams he's had. They're going to be ranked. They were ranked 9th. I mean, they probably will be one of the super seeds or whatever the hell they call it, one of the top 8 seeds.
Yeah, top 8 seeds.
But here's what's crazy. Here's what's crazy is they really only have one starter that they're going to lose, and it's a damn good one, Skylar Wallace. Katie Kissler is a senior. She hit a home run yesterday, which was cool on senior day. She plays. She kind of platoons right field. So they only lose one starter off this team. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's going to stay because of the portal, but It's a very young softball team that's damn good.
I'm just excited to watch in the postseason, how they do. And I think I like the way the softball does it with the basically one game playoff in the tournament, in the SEC tournament. Is that still how it works, QB?
I believe they've changed that in the baseball now.
Right, but I
think it's single elimination now in
and
baseball.
And that's the case. So I think it works out well for this kind of thing. You don't burn out your pitchers before regionals. And if you're one of those teams that has to play your way in, then it gives you that they still have that chance and opportunity to play their way in. But for teams that are already banked and already in there, burning out your pitching staff before regionals or super regionals is tough to do. I like the one game, the single elimination. I like that.
So, Baron on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says Sully's 55. I don't want him to retire. I want him to rebuild and reload. I thought Sully was younger than me for some reason.
Yeah. Okay, well, still 55. He still gets taxed 10% on an IRA withdrawal. So, I mean, he's still not old, is what I'm saying. And he's accomplished. So I don't know why he just give that up. I don't think that's going to happen.
So. Michael's talking about the finish in the NASCAR race was just as close as the Kentucky Derby. I did see that. It was like inches for both finishes. Chris from Cottondale on the Titan Mark text line says JC supposed to be a sports personality and doesn't even follow the Kentucky Derby. Shaking my head. Shane, you're going to have to find another guy for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm disappointed in JC's lack of desire to bring sports info to this all-important podcast for people around the world.
I think basically Chris is just roasting me. We're in the roast era, it feels like. I did look, man. I just told you I'm not a big Kentucky Derby guy. What do you want from me? I mean, I don't. Horse racing is big in Marion County. I've heard that.
They had a bunch of horses, I think, from Marion County.
Yeah.
Kentucky Derby. That's what I was told Saturday when I was down there.
All
right. So I don't know if you've been following JC, but this is a tweet that I saw from a guy who is a national college basketball reporter. He says there are a few college hoop programs right now that can still get players even without being one of the highest NIL bidders.
Yeah.
Who do you think those three programs are?
I think Alabama is one of them.
What's crazy is, think about this. He mentions this: UConn, Baylor, and Alabama.
Alabama is definitely one of them.
There's really, the so-called blue bloods or what have you.
Yeah.
Ain't none of them listed.
Right. And I think it's good too, because it shows that there's a little bit more optionality for these kids that don't have to get this lottery win to play for you. And I like that. And I think it's, Alabama's had a really good offseason with the transfer portal, and they just got this kid from Rutgers. They had a good recruiting season. They're going to be a really good team next year. A lot of height. Grant Nelson coming back. Florida's also going to be one of those teams that I think will be better with some of their additions. And every time you talk about the transfer portal, you always have to remember, yes, there's always going to be somebody that may be sliding out the door, but just think about the ones that are coming to you too. And that's the way I look at it. I tend to look at the ones who are coming over the ones that are going.
Here's a long text on the Titan Mark text line. I'm just going to kind of mention a few things here. It's interesting though. Talking about college graduations around the country. I'm actually going to one this afternoon.
On a Monday.
But can you imagine? So I did see a clip of this on the news this morning, believe it or not. In Michigan, they do the graduation in the big house, JC.
Yeah.
And it was packed. The entire bowl was packed. They had students down on the field.
Oh, that's
in the middle of the damn thing. They had people parading with the Palestinian flags.
Oh,
that will not happen. I can promise you that don't happen today. That will not happen today. Where I'm going.
No. Ben Sass is all over this, but
yes.
I think this is not real protest. This is called paid advertising, and I think that's what we're seeing. I don't. People never talked about the Palestinians before October 7th. And it's really not about the Palestinians as much as it is about the terrorist organization that runs that piece of land called Gaza. And it's about, the news is about to get worse, actually, going forward if you keep up with it. But I won't devolve into that topic on this show. But it doesn't surprise me. In Michigan, you have a very large Muslim community, mostly centered in Detroit and Dearborn. And that is just the way it is. Ann Arbor is right across the street. And so you wait until the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. You want to talk about some protesting that's going to happen? You watch what happens in that.
So I did see it correct. And like I said, the text was extremely long. Andy says the Palestinian flag march was throughout the ceremony and it was not stopped. That's what's crazy. Could you imagine if they rolled into one of the SEC schools? What would happen?
Yeah.
You missed it last week, JC. I wore my North Carolina t-shirt one day. The very next day I wore my Ole Miss t-shirt because I don't know if you saw the frat boys at North Carolina.
Yeah.
Their GoFundMe pages is like 600 something thousand now for a party. So it's just, I didn't want to bring this up today, but somebody texted about it and I'm going to a graduation today. You
won't have that. We had protesters last week outside the courthouse that I was spending my day in, and they dispersed. I mean, I think if it's enabled or if it's allowed to flourish, it will. And when you have financial backing of these things, that's why people do it in many cases. Not in all, but in many. And I do believe that's what we're seeing today.
Yeah. So this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. 2006, the 132nd Kentucky Derby. Edgar Prado aboard Barbaro wins in front of 157,000 fans.
I got to tell you, the tragedy of Barbaro was the next race. You remember that, QB?
Say again?
Do you remember the next race Barbaro was in after he won the Kentucky Derby?
No.
He's the horse
who broke his leg?
Who came out of the gate and snapped his leg, and they had to put him down.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, in the Preakness. That's the race they run after the Kentucky Derby, and it was tragic. That was a great horse. It was a tragic thing. But this is, they're athletes too. They get hurt, and so. But I'm glad you mentioned that horse because he was a great winner, and he only got to run one race. And he got to run two, and it was his last one.
Yeah.
But that's about my extent of a lot of knowledge on horse racing, and I'm not part of that area in the country that really keeps up with it because I don't live in Marion County, and if I did, I'd be still a football, baseball, and basketball guy. So it's okay. I mean, just you like what you like. That's just the way it is.
Well, our one of our great sponsors, Joe Colorio from Titan MRI, is big into horse racing. His family owns. His family was part owner of Fierceness.
Yep,
that was the favorite.
Well, he's got two more chances to win a Triple Crown race. I mean, he's got the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes. The Belmont's a great race because it's so long and it's the last one of the Triple Crown. And I'm trying to remember who the last Triple Crown winner was. I honestly can't. So,
okay, Barone's question on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plum. What's the rules in the summer portal? Is there restrictions on conference transfers? Yes. So if anyone transfers within the SEC, I don't know about the other conferences, you are from SEC to SEC, you are ineligible to play this fall.
Okay.
So
there you go. What was I wanted you to get your take on Kirby's news last week. I wasn't here last week. I know you talked about it. What'd you think?
That he's getting paid $13 million?
$130 million.
Yeah, but he's getting $13 million a year.
For 10 years. And what do you think of that?
Well, it's crazy that any coach would make that kind of money, but the money that TV, that the University of Georgia is making because of their winning, just like with Saban.
That's the same thing.
I mean, Kirby's the best coach in football right now. There's no, you can't argue with that.
Same thing. And Kirby Smart is Georgia's Steve Spurrier. He is. And
I've said it multiple times, JC. What's crazy is people don't understand it, that he's coaching his alma mater, like you said. He turned it around. And then his offensive coordinator is Mike Bobo, who played there. Muschamp, who I don't know what Muschamp's. I think he's still helping, but not really coaching. But he played there. So them dudes ain't going anywhere.
No, thing is, he had a thing that I think Florida fans should be, somewhat where Spurrier always had success against Georgia. Always. There was one game he lost, and I think the rest of them he won. He won 10 out of 11, I think. And
it was 11-1.
Yeah, so 11 out of 12 then. So I don't think I don't want to say this because this might not make people happy, but Kirby may just pull that trick on Florida if the Gators don't catch up soon, because Georgia that's their Spurrier, and there's just so many parallels to that, I think.
I brought that up a long time ago, JC. Yeah. Were you not listening?
Well, I may have not even been on.
No, you were. I've been saying it for like 2 years now.
That he's their Spurrier?
I said that. I said because I said that Kirby will not leave the University of Georgia probably ever. He might, but I doubt it because he's got it made. He's built them into the number one program in America, and he played there. That makes a difference. Yeah, well, I'm using the analogies that he's their guy, just like Spurrier was Florida's guy. And, their best ever that they had at the school. And I think that's the case. Vince Dooley was a very successful coach at Georgia, but the success was it was a different era in time. But Kirby Smart, I think, will eclipse that over time with more of what Vince Dooley was trying to accomplish there. And similar to what Saban did at Alabama, almost identical, except he never went to Alabama. He just coached there. But Kirby will not leave Georgia. I agree with that. He won't go to the NFL. I agree with that. And he can stay there as long as he wants to. I agree with that. And he's going to win a lot. And I agree with that. But, Baron says Muschamp is Kirby's right-hand man, basically. Who knows what the official title is, but Georgia set it up proper with those guys. Hate saying that. He's been an actual coach the last few years. Mm-hmm. He's not a coach anymore. He kind of stepped away. I think his youngest son is playing, maybe going to Vanderbilt. I'm not sure. But anyway, he'll still be a part of it. But yeah, they have it going on, no doubt about it.
They do. Carson
North Florida Bear says JC can barely remember what he says, much less what you say, QB. JC, they're all over you today.
That's right.
All over you.
I'm glad that they're watching and that they missed me. I get it. I know it was a hard week last week. I understand.
It was a hard week for you, not for us.
Yes, but even though you don't want to admit it, I know you deeply missed me.
We had great guests, JC, but we got to get to one of our best guests.
Mike.
We got to get to Mike Morgan, get his thoughts on the sports world. JC, get some rest. Get some rest and study up on your Kentucky Derby.
Yeah,
they said the last Triple Crown winner, JC, was in 2018. Justify. Okay. That's why I asked, because I can't remember. That's JC.
You didn't know that either, so I don't want to.
No, I didn't, but I didn't throw out any names either because I don't remember any of them. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick time out. Right. Come back. We'll be joined by Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union.
Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise.
Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. And go back to the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by the ACC Network's Mike Morgan. Good morning, Mike. How you doing,
ACC. ACC?
I said SEC.
Oh, I thought you said ACC. I've done a few games on the ACC. I
don't know if I've ever watched the ACC network. Actually, I take that back. I clicked, like on my YouTube TV, somehow it had like a game, the games on it. So I just clicked. I didn't know what channel it was.
Yeah.
It goes to halftime. It was the worst studio halftime show I've ever seen in my life. It looked like back in the day, back at WRUF. What were those? The cheap seats? The cheap seats.
Hey, I hosted the cheap seats.
The cheap seats was better than it's what I was going to say.
I was the first host of the cheap seats. I wear that badge with a whole lot of pride. Yeah, I can't really say much there, Shane. So
yeah, you got to keep your mouth shut on that.
I'm gonna have to plead no contest on that one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Mike. So did you watch the Kentucky Derby? Are you a Kentucky Derby guy? Have you been?
So my wife is a Kentucky native and a huge Kentucky Derby fan. I guess you could say she's been to several. And it's on the bucket list. The tickets are outrageous. So I am going to go, and I have been to that track with her, and we met at Keeneland, which I think is actually a nicer racetrack, which is in Lexington. And I recommend any Gator fan that's going to a matchup against Kentucky there, if it's in October or April, go to Keeneland. It is a fantastic experience. But no, I've never been to the Derby, and I did not watch. We went to my first ever F1 race. We went to the Miami Grand Prix yesterday.
How was that?
It was awesome. It was awesome. Shane, I know nothing about F1. I mean, nothing. And, sometimes that's refreshing because I don't know. I'm sure you're obviously you're this way when it comes to Gator football. Everybody just walks up to you and think, every milk and cranny, what's going on. They want inside information. They want answers to questions you don't have answers to. Well, I mean, I get that a lot for football, basketball, baseball, right? And so you get all these questions, and you kind of feel like, well, this is my comfort zone. This is my lane. Every now and then, it's nice to go to somewhere into something where not only is it not your lane, you're clueless. I don't know a single driver. I don't know the strategy. All I know is boom, 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 boom. And, you got celebrities all over the place. You got Pat Mahomes. You got Trump was there. You got all kinds of athletes and singers and everything. And I'm just like, this is pretty cool. It was a neat deal. I would do it again. I'm not going to be an F1 fan, but it was fun to do something, again, outside the comfort zone and something I never did. So I missed the Derby. We were keeping, tabs on it. I know who won, and I know what the odds were, but I've never actually been to a Derby.
So who won the F1 race? That same guy that wins them all the time?
No. So the guy that won the last two Miami Grand Prix, I think he's German. He lost. Some British guy who had never won it. So it was a bit of an upset for McLaren Racing, which I guess is a big deal. And he came back and won from behind, and so that was an upset in the F1 world, Shane. I'm surprised you didn't lead with this story on your show.
I know. Well, you got me now. Did you get comp tickets, or did you have to buy tickets? How much do tickets cost to this event? I
may have gotten some tickets through somebody. Yeah, Yeah, because they are pricey. Now, I will
Are
tell
they?
you this. Even you know how this goes. You living in that marquee celebrity world, being a two-time SEC Player of the Year, even when you go and you have comp tickets or passes, what you're about to spend in parking, what you're
Oh,
about to spend in food and drinks, they're still making money off you. You're still out of pocket for a lot of coins. So yeah, we spent a fair amount of the Miami Grand Prix. They didn't make as much money off us as they did the Mahomeses, but they certainly did okay.
yeah. I salute every fan that goes to any sporting event because I hate traffic. I hate
Yeah,
parking. The crazy amount of money you're going to spend, it's nuts. All right,
nuts.
so Tyler on Facebook Live, I'm going to read it just because I want to read it. Says Shane, what's wrong with students exercising their First Amendment right by waving a flag? Should that be illegal? You're damn right it should be when they're protesting and nothing is being done at a graduation ceremony. I don't know if you saw what happened in Michigan. It was nuts.
Well, I could kind of imagine because I know what that state has become, and like you don't have to be political to read the tea leaves as to why when you go ahead and you depend on votes from certain groups, and then all of a sudden those certain groups are doing things, even if you might think to yourself, well, this is not good, this is not right, but you need those votes. There's a lot of that appears to be going on.
Yeah. All right,
Does that
Gator
sound about right?
baseball.
Did I
Yeah,
miss
for
all that?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing though. You do that on an SEC campus,
Oh,
you do. It's a little different vibe now, isn't it?
yep. I'm going to a graduation ceremony today. I guarantee you ain't none of that happening here.
I think the craziest thing I had at Florida was we what was it, theater appreciation, I think was the class. So it was one of those big halls, hundreds of students in there, and some dude went streaking in the middle of the class. I mean, buck ass naked, and just ran across right by the professor. We're all just like, did we just see what we thought? Yeah, that was a streaker.
That's
It
funny.
was very chilly
Yeah.
in the room that day.
Yeah, we got a president that doesn't mess around here now. Ben Sass, love him. Don says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, something has happened to Gator baseball because losing a few key seniors shouldn't have caused this within the program. Like I mentioned, off last year's team, you lose one of the best shortstops we've ever had here. You lose one of the best catchers we've ever had here. You lose maybe one of the top three players to ever play here in Wyatt Langford. And you lose two pitchers that I believe are in triple A right now, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard to replace that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just coming on your show every week, I don't know like where this vibe came from, but it's like you have to understand every program in college. This is not football. Football, you set up a program like Kirby and his $13 million just did, or what Nick Saban did for all those years at Alabama. And you might not be guaranteed to win a national championship every year, but you've got it on autopilot where you're getting the best players every year and you get 85 scholarships. So even when you have recruiting misses, you have backfill for those recruiting misses with the other part of those 85 scholarships. So Georgia's going to win 10 games every year, and Bama's going to win 10 games every year, and Ohio State's going to win 10 games every year. That's football. In baseball, you can have a stretch like Sully did, where they make it 5 straight Omahas during that point in time, and of course a national championship. But with 11.7 scholarships, and when you lose key players like the ones you just mentioned, Shane, it's going to happen where you're going to have a down year. LSU is having a down year. Auburn was in Omaha 5 years ago. They are not good at all. They're bottom dwellers this year. Look at Ole Miss. They won a national championship a few years ago. They're not going very far this year either. So I don't know why people think Florida would be immune to this, that all of a sudden it's Sully's fault that you have a down year in Gainesville. And by the way, I say down year almost in quotation marks. It's down relative to the standard he set. It's not nearly as down as some of the other programs are having. So this whole talk about Sully losing his touch, or I just don't get it. Honestly, Shane, this is one of the most shocking to me, overreactions that you can find out there.
I'm with you. Look, they just have to go 3-4. That sounds crazy. Go 3-4 in your last 7 games. You're going to make the postseason. Then who knows what will happen. We got a text on the Titan and More text line from William. He wants to know, Mike, did you happen to see the roast of Tom Brady last night?
Oh, gosh. That's part of the reason I sound a little rough this morning, Shane. It's not because of my experience at the Grand Prix. I've stumbled upon that last night. There was nothing I had interest in really watching. I was dog tired from, as you mentioned, the traffic getting out of Miami was insane. I get there, and all of a sudden, my TV, it's one of those smart TVs, and it starts flashing Netflix Tom Brady roast. I figure, I'll check it out. It's probably going to be lame. He's not funny. I don't know who is on the dais. I am laughing my ass off for an hour and a half straight. First of all, I love the roasts. These are not for everybody. Like, if you're one of these sensitive people and you get easily offended, do not tune in. Just don't do it. But if you have a sense of humor, which I pride myself in having, I watched it, and yes, to the person that asked that question, I saw most of it. I missed the beginning, and I couldn't believe they were truly roasting him, Shane. This was not Tom, I'll tell you what, he likes those avocado smoothies. Ha, ha, ha. No, 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 no. They were going where you didn't think they'd have the cojones to go, and it was brutal. And they were doing the same thing with Belichick, and they were doing the same thing with Gronk, and it was no holes barred, unfiltered, and I was there for it.
And what I don't understand is, because I didn't see it, I don't have Netflix. I'm like one of the only people in the world that doesn't have it.
Netflix?
I don't sit around watching TV. So, but my question is, why do you think they even had this thing?
I don't know. Look, it's not like Tom Brady needs the money. I don't know if there's an appearance fee. They're not raising money for charity. I think part of it was Tom wanted to just remind people, he's about to be a commentator. I think a lot of people thought he was going to back out of that Fox deal. He's not backing out. He's going to do it. He's determined.
Who's he going to be paired with?
He would replace Greg Olson and Kevin Burkhardt.
Kevin Burkhardt.
Yeah, who I think is very good. Actually, I thought Greg Olson was becoming really good. I feel bad for him. He's getting demoted for no good reason, but that's TV. But I think he wanted to just kind of let everybody know, hey, look, I'm not the robot you think I am. And all these jokes are about his divorce, and everybody's talking. Tom's always in the news, and he just wanted to show I'm just an everyday guy with a sense of humor, and I can take it. And he was a punching bag for over 2 hours, Shane. Like, you got to really be thick-skinned to go through one of these things. And we're talking about the GOAT. We're talking about 7 Super Bowl championships, and he took it like a man. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, Tony, responding to your comments about baseball, said same thing from 2010 to 2012, 3 trips to Omaha, and then 2013 barely made it to a regional, then went to Omaha in 15, 16, 17, national title in 18. Yeah.
It happens. It's baseball. It's not football. You just have to get that out of your head. Now, if you see a pattern where it's like 3 straight years they can't get to a super, okay, now we're talking. South Carolina won back-to-back national championships in 2010, 2011, made it to the final in 2012, and then Ray Tanner retired to become their AD. They haven't made it to Omaha since. So maybe there's a little bit of a fear like, we're slipping. We don't want to see that happen. We've seen it happen to other programs where they're on top of the mountain. And then I don't think Florida has anything to worry about. Like, Sully's going to keep recruiting at an elite level. They're going to be active in the portal. And they're going to be back in Omaha before too long. I just don't think this is the team that does it.
Yeah. Do you follow softball at all?
Not much. Not a whole lot, to be honest with you. I know about Coach Walton and the great job that he's done there.
This is probably one of the best coaching jobs he's done. They have 1 senior. They're very, very young, and they're a good softball team.
Yeah.
Text here from Jimmy on the Titan MR text line. He says, Mike, do you remember covering Anthony Edwards at Georgia? How were they
Yes.
so bad with him on the team?
Great question. It's the same way LSU was so bad with Ben Simmons. It's the same way South Carolina was so bad a couple years ago with G.G. Jackson. You can get a lottery pick on a college basketball program, but if he doesn't buy in, you're in trouble. Anthony Edwards, who is a phenomenal talent, and I love watching, and I think he's the next great superstar in our game at the NBA level. But he played for a coach in Tom Crean that did not get along very well with today's player. Anthony Edwards would go out there. He wouldn't play defense. If he turned it over, he wouldn't run back to defend on the play. He was out. He was all. It was just a combine for him. The games meant nothing, Shane. The games meant nothing. Win or lose, didn't care. But I'll say this: I used to go to shoot around and watch Anthony Edwards. I've never seen a player do this before. So you've got the 3-point line, which is around 22 feet. He would go to shoot around, and he would have a specific assistant coach that would put X's around the arc on the floor. And I swear every one of them was about 28 feet from the rim. And he would just go there and line them up and have somebody tossing the ball and shoot however many threes from all of those spots from 28 feet out. And I'm here to tell you, he made a lot more than he missed. And the athleticism was natural. He could have been a great football player, played high school football in Georgia. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, this dude is a talent. I don't know about his attitude. I don't know if he cares about winning, but he's got an NBA game already. And you're seeing that now on full display. He's phenomenal.
He really is. Andy's question to you is, do you think the Timberwolves can beat the Nuggets in the series?
I do. I think that's the best series worth watching right now. Honestly, I didn't watch hardly any of the first round of the NBA playoffs, and I do watch NBA. But this series, if you're going to pick one, I would tell your audience, if you're going to pick one, this is the one. Because Denver, it's well documented how good they are and what they do and the Joker and how unique. But Minnesota matches up well with them. And you've got, to me, as exciting a player as there is in the game today, and Anthony Edwards, and you got Karl Anthony Towns, and it's like an L. If you watch this series, it's SEC guys all over the place. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Georgia, the guy that was just that Naz Reid. I did a number of his games at LSU. Again, they didn't win much, but Naz Reid, who was a Will Wade recruit. He's a heck of a player. I think there's like a half a dozen SEC guys on the floor in that series alone.
Yeah, speaking of that, if you want to watch that series, the Nuggets trail the series 1-0. You got to stay up. The tip is at 10 o'clock Eastern time tonight, game 2.
I'm a night owl. That's
a night owl.
That's normal for me, Shane.
Yeah, I will be asleep.
You'll be snoring by about 10:30.
Yeah. Chris on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says Tom was a little baby in the very beginning when comedian roasted Robert Kraft about a massage joke. Other than that, he took it like a champ.
Yeah, so I missed that, but everybody was talking about it on Twitter. That was one Tom did not appreciate. But again, that wasn't even about him. That was about Kraft. He did not. Nothing was out of bounds with Tom. You could the wife joke, the divorce jokes, the deflate gate, everything. He took it on the chin. He took it like a man.
Yes, he did. Apparently, I didn't see it, but good for him. Live a healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies and our amazing food. Tropical smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. A few more minutes with Mike Morgan from the SEC Network here on the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tip. He's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Mike, your early number one team in America right now going into college football.
Oh, it's Georgia. I caught you and JC talking about the $13 million. They could have, if he demanded $20 million, they would have found it. Mm-hmm. I mean, what he is so valuable right now. And yeah, you could make the analogy he's their Steve Spurrier. I don't think there's, he's a little more active in recruiting, let's just say, than Steve was. Steve was never a huge fan at it, became much better at it over time and had the right assistants. And look, when you're winning, a lot of that recruiting is done in itself, right, Shane? People want to be part of a winner. When Florida had it going on under the old ball coach, that spoke volumes. Now in the NIL world, so much of that, of course, is how many zeros are on the check, and Georgia has found plenty of money there. But yeah, Georgia's going to be preseason number one. When I look at it, it's going to be the usual suspects. It's going to be Georgia. It's going to be Ohio State. Texas, I think a lot of people believe in year one of the SEC with Quinn Ewers coming back could make it to the SEC championship game. Does LSU find a defense so they're going to be better on that side of the ball, but they're certainly going to take a step back when you lose Jaden Daniels and 2 first-round picks at wideout. That's going to be something. Can Ole Miss and Missouri, can they handle success? In other words, everybody is on the Lane Kiffin bandwagon and the Eli bandwagon. Okay, they both lost a lot of players. The difference is Ole Miss had the number 1 portal class, right? So they're plug and play, man. They're just, we lost this. Okay, no problem. We're getting that. And we got Jackson Dart back for another year. Eli's got his quarterback back for another year as well. And Luther Burden is an absolute stud at wide receiver. But they lost. I watched every pick of that NFL draft, Shane. You know how I am. And I saw a lot of Missouri defensive players get drafted, and those guys are gone. I don't think Missouri's at the level where they can just lose half their defense to the NFL and just replace it. I think Missouri takes a step back this year. But Georgia absolutely is the favorite. Getting Carson Beck back, who might be the number 1 pick in next year's draft, that was huge. He could have been a second-round pick this year and said, no, I'll gamble on myself. He did, and Georgia will be loaded once again.
I agree with that. All right. Before we get you out of here, this text from Ricky on the Titan More text line. That's a good one. He says, Mike, who's your favorite broadcaster?
Oh, gosh. A play-by-play.
Yeah, I guess that's what.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what. The guy to me, and I've gotten to know him fairly well over the years, that I have so much respect for because as someone who does both TV and radio, Kevin Harlan to me is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. So he does Monday Night Football on national radio and does it as well as it can be done. He does NFL Sunday on TV and does it as well as it can be done. He does NBA playoffs. He does March Madness, college basketball. I think Kevin Harlan today is as good as it gets from a play-by-play person who also has the versatility that very few have to do TV and radio.
Yeah, I jotted down 3 guys I think are pretty damn good.
Bring them.
Sean McDonough.
Love him. Oh, Sean is outstanding. Outstanding.
Ian Eagle.
Good. Very good. Yep.
And I think my favorite, or I shouldn't say favorite, but I just think he's outstanding because he can host anything and he can call anything. Mike Tirico.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah. I mean, we just gave you the Mount Rushmore.
Right.
I mean, seriously, you're 3 and Harlan, I think that's as good as it gets, honestly. Yeah. I'm not just trying to throw flowers at people in my specific lane of broadcasting, but those 4 are outstanding.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you taking time to join the program after your late night watching the roast and having a good time at the F1 race.
Go watch it, Shay. Go back and watch the roast. I'm telling you, you will get some laughs out of it. Some stuff you'll be like, "Holy, did he just say that?" But that's part of a roast. It's not for sensitive ears.
I saw the clip on Twitter of what Edelman said.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I know, man. Julian was on one. He's just he's coming out hot. He's going to offend whoever he offends. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Gronk was Gronk. I mean, Gronk's the guy that he just drinks the milk straight out of the carton, right? He doesn't pour it. He is unapologetic about how insanely obtuse he actually is. He's just a meathead. He's just an absolute meathead. Oh, it was funny. It was irreverent as hell. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, we enjoyed you being on today. Have a great week.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next week, my man.
Appreciate everybody out there in Gator Country. We'll talk to you next week.
That's Mike Morgan. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. He's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Don't forget, folks, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Receive a 1 year of our preventative maintenance plan for free with every scheduled full home duct cleaning. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Thanks to Mike and JC. And have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.